What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ. Today we are running through the patch notes for patch 10.7 of League of Legends. This patch is going to be dropping about a week from the day that this video is released. Riot, more specifically Mark Yetter on Twitter, likes to tweet out the patch notes for everyone to check out about a week before they actually hit live. These aren't the exact notes, but 90 to 95% of the stuff will be going onto the live servers. They make some minor tweaks here and there as they see it, but pretty much everything gets finalized a week before, so we're going to be running through these. Before we get into it, I just wanted to say real quick, if you are not subscribed already, I would definitely appreciate you guys clicking that subscribe button real quick. We recently passed 850 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000, and that number would be so exciting. If you enjoy my content, if you like League of Legends, Riot Games, any of that stuff, hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date on all my latest content videos, everything would be awesome. Also, dropping a like and leaving a comment down below. What do you think about these changes in patch 10.7? Those things help me out with the algorithm a ton, get my videos out to more people. So all that stuff would be great. With that being said, let's get right into this video. Patch 10.7 for League of Legends, going to be coming out around the end of March, early April. We got a couple of rune nerfs, rune changes at the beginning. The conditioning rune nerf, its activation time is going from 10 to 12 minutes. And then phase rush is getting a buff for melees. Movement speed for melees going from 30 to 50% to 40 to 60%. I really think the phase rush buff for melees is interesting. I'm not sure exactly who's going to use it. I've seen some phase rush Darius. I've seen some phase rush Garen. Conquer's so good on so many melee champions. So I don't know exactly who's going to use this, but I know that phase rush has been good on range for a long time. Ryze, Cassiopeia, stuff like that. But haven't seen a ton on melee champions. So I think it's interesting that they're trying to make that work. And I'm curious to see who is going to benefit the most from this change. Hopefully someone, though, because it'd be cool to see more diversity in builds and runes and all that stuff. As far as the nerfs, Wukong nerfs. First of all, Wukong rework, ton of fun to play. I think it's going really well, but it had like a 54% win rate on last patch, so it definitely needed some nerfs. So I'm sure people will be excited to see this. Passive armor from 5 to 11 by level down to 5 to 9 by level, and the E damage is getting reduced as well. I think that'll be really noticeable because the E is what you max first, so it's one of your main damaging abilities on the Bruiser, Conquer, Wukong. And his armor definitely needed to be reduced. He was so strong in AD matchups, so oppressive, so tanky, and with the Conquer healing, double knockups on all that stuff, he was kind of overloaded. So nerfs were definitely warranted. He got some hotfix nerfs, getting a couple more nerfs. Hopefully it brings him more in line so he doesn't have a 54% win rate again. Nocturne mid, glad they're nerfing him. Nocturne's not a mid laner. He is disgusting to play against the mid lane. Get this guy out of here. HP regen going from 8.5 to 7. That's a very meaningful nerf. Makes you way more susceptible to poke, and there's a lot of poke in the mid lane, especially for a melee champion like Nocturne. And MR per level going from 1.25 to 0.75. Another very meaningful nerf. That might just take him all the way out of mid lane. I think he's still going to be a good mid laner because assassins rule the mid lane right now. His roams are great. He actually has a lot of good matchups. But those are two nerfs that are gonna hit him pretty hard. Garen getting his passive cooldown from 7 seconds up to 8 seconds. Definitely going to hurt his sustain in lane. That'll be pretty meaningful. And his Q movement speed duration from 1.5 to 3.5 to 1 to 3.6. So his Q movement speed getting a pretty big nerf. And people were talking about that being a pretty meaningful change. Because, one, Garen's all about getting on top of people. If he can't run at you and get on top of you, he can't deal damage. And people have been maxing E recently. So you're really going to be feeling those Q nerfs since you're not getting points in your Q in later in the game and really not maxing it all the way out until later in the game. So this could be a pretty substantial nerf for Garen. But it's clear that they really don't know how to balance this guy. He's been either disgustingly underpowered or disgustingly overpowered for a long time. Ton of buffs, ton of nerfs. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this one. I'm sure Garen will still be good. He's so easy, so strong. But these are substantial nerfs. Talon is getting a W initial damage decrease and the W return damage decrease as well. I think that makes sense. They're giving him some compensation buffs by adding more base AD to it, but they're lowering the actual base damage. So as you build AD, it'll probably increase the damage, but just initially, right at the very beginning of the game, it's going to be a reduction in damage, which I think makes sense because right now, especially early on in the lane phase, Talon is so uninteractive. He just throws out his W. He can clear the whole wave faster than everyone else. He gets to free push into like 90% of his matchups, and he just gets to roam, makes the jungler's life a living hell, makes bot lane's life a living hell. Your mid just gets flamed for not like matching his roams or pushing the wave or whatever. Talon has been a mess. He's had a high win rate for a long time. Those nerfs, hopefully, if they can hit his wave clear enough, they could be a really good nerf for him. But it'll depend. I'd have to see the specifics of how easy you can clear the waves, how much mana it takes, how many Ws it takes, all that stuff. It also will lower your kill pressure a little bit in lane, but I'm sure he'll still be the first blood king. Nasus, some buffs for him. W range going from 600 to 700. That's going to be really, really good. That's Wither, helps you get onto people. That's Nasus' main thing. If he can slow somebody down and stay on top of them, he's going to be one-shotting you if he gets a lot of stacks. And then E Armor Shred, 15 to 35, 25 to 45. Again, making people less tanky is going to help Nasus. But those W buffs, that'll feel pretty good for Nasus players. Gallio, his R now grants allies in the area X percentage of Gallio's max HP as a magic shield for 6 seconds. They said since they removed Gallio's taunt flash, they can add some power into some other places in his kit. Apparently his ult, adding the shield back on it. I think Gallio's ult always felt kind of lackluster, kind of weird, not having the shield on it, not having some kind of damage reduction like it did before, because obviously that's what he had in release, and that was really cool, but it was very strong, very overpowered, especially in pro play. This is going to definitely make Gallio a lot better. It's going to make him very strong in pro play, but it'll be a significant buff in solo queue as well, but I don't think that instantly makes him like meta or anything. Riven, I'm always scared of seeing Riven buffs. I see Riven and Akali on here. Not a huge fan of Riven and Akali buffs, but we'll check them out. Base HP regen from 7 to 8.5. I don't think that should be too big of a buff for Riven. I don't think it's going to make her overpowered or anything, but she's one of those champions that's always teetering the line between unplayable and just disgustingly broken. So hopefully it doesn't push her over the edge. It's going to give her better sustain and stuff, obviously, but I don't think that makes her OP yet, but I don't like Riven buffs. Ivern is getting an E damage increase and an R cooldown reduction. I think that's kind of weird because Ivern hasn't actually been in a bad spot. His pick rate has been very low. She's kind of boring to play. People don't really want to play a supportive jungler. But I think he's been pretty strong in the few games I've seen him, especially people who take the time to learn Ivern because he is so different. So hopefully that doesn't make him like just too overpowered or anything. We'll see. Akali getting her E damage type from physical to magical. That is a buff because she builds magic penetration, like Sork boots and just magic pen items, and she has a lot of power and damage in her E, and by making it magic damage and making magic pen work with her E, it's going to be a significant damage increase. Again, I hate Akali as a champion. I don't want to see her buffed, but she's been in the gutter for a while, so some type of buffs are warranted if they don't want to go for a full-blown rework, which I think they could also do. So hopefully this doesn't push her right back again into disgustingly broke. There's all these champions that are just very close to being overpowered. I don't know. We all have Akali PTSD. I'm not ready for her to be back in meta just yet because she's been meta for like years at this point. Kai'Sa getting an E cooldown reduction. She's been in kind of a bad spot recently. Just a 2-second reduction later on in the game. I don't think this is anything too meaningful. Don't think it brings her into like the S tier or anything. Corki, package direct hit damage over time, duration 1.5 to 2 seconds. Putting more power into his package, I don't know, I think it feels kind of lame. Part of Corki's that his lane phase stuff is so weak. He scales like a monster, and obviously the package is the unique thing about Corki, but just adding more and more power into the package and the AoE and the damage over time and all that stuff, I don't know, it feels kind of weird. It makes for bigger plays whenever he has the package, but it makes him just feel so much worse to play when he doesn't have the package. I don't know. He's again a more pro play centered champion, more so than a solo queue champion, but some people like those buffs, hopefully, but it doesn't look anything too huge. Extra half second on the damage over time. Xin Zhao, passive heal, going from 10 to 68 to 10 to 112. That's actually a pretty significant scaling buff to Xin Zhao. That's a huge number change on his passive healing. That's going to help him stay alive in extended fights and stuff, more so in the later game. Obviously, in the early game, he's already a dueling monster. That'll make him a little stronger. That's a pretty significant buff. And then finally, we're getting the Fiddlesticks visual graphic update. I've made a video about Fiddlesticks, his visual graphic update, all his abilities and everything like that. So if you want to check that out, that's on my channel. Once he drops, I'll be posting some gameplay and everything for him as well, too. Don't worry about that, guys. He looks really sick. I know a ton of people are excited about him. For him to come out, he looks awesome. It looks like it's going to be one of their best reworks ever. And I'm really excited for that to come out too, and I know you guys are as well. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. That was my patch 10.7 rundown, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. I gave my thoughts. We went over all the changes, everything that's going to be hitting the live servers again in about a week from today. Again, comment down below. Let me know what change you're most excited about, what change you hate, whatever. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next video. But until then, peace.